Disaster risk reduction by Ahmad, presented by Dr. Andre Kamga. Then after that, we will give the floor to the audience to actually ask some few questions. And then we move into the second set of presentation done by Dr. Panna Gurtis, sorry for the name, and then followed by discussion, and then Dr. Jolie will come back to wrap up. Dr. Hussein, please come forward. Thank you.
Good afternoon, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed.
I think it's Faka will be coming forward first. Huh? It's okay. Yeah, sorry, I think Dr. Faka was looking at me. I jumped him because he was the one to give the objective of the presentation. Please come forward.
Shortcut program. Sorry. Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. I'm just going to give you the overview of the CLIMSA program so that you know exactly what are we doing, and also related to our theme of the site event on decision-making support tool. So let me just go straight away to the program. So the objective of the program is to strengthen climate service value chain through building capacity of decision makers at all levels to make effective use of climate information and services. So this program was built first to support the regional climate centers, to capacitate them in order for them also to support the national meteorological and hydrological services. This is really the main target purpose of the program, and the goal is to contribute to strengthen the production, availability, delivery, and application of science-based products. So we are trying to make sure that at the end of this program, RCC will improve, because they're already doing it, by making the production, making available the product, also delivering and applying science-based information to the specific, what we call the climate-sensitive sectors. What is the result area of this program? We've got 5 result areas. The first one is on user interface. Our strategy is to say, if we need to build a sustainable program, we need to involve the users and the producers of the climate information. It's no longer one sense where people are producing without hearing how the product was useful from the user side. That's the reason we emphasize for the first result area to build that user interface platform. There are 2 main benefits of building that user interface platform: to improve our product and the services, and also to tailor those products to user requirements. The second result area is on infrastructure. To transform data to the information and the services, you need to analyze those observations, and what we call climate services information system, where we provide to the RCC infrastructure for them to collect, to analyze, and to generate products and services. The third result area on data access and observation, that is mainly on observation, research, and production. In meteorology and climate science, you can't do anything if you don't have the raw data. So one of the key areas to see how RCC can collect data, analyze them to produce services. The 4th result area is capacity building. To maintain this tailored information to user requirement, we need to build capacity of the producer and also build capacity of the users to understand our product. Sometimes people used to complain, you are more using the jargon where we cannot understand. So that is the reason capacity building is not only on the climate expert, but also at the side of the users, for them to understand the language and to interpret correctly the product. And the last one is policy awareness. So let me just give you the beneficiary and the partners of this program. As I said, that the first target is for the Regional Climate Center. At the OECPS level, we've got 8 regional climate centers. In Africa, we've got 6, one in Pacific and another one in Caribbean. We are assisting all the 8 centers to build capacity and improve their business. In terms of partners, implementing partners, we have the OECPS Secretariat itself, with WMO, GRC, UMETSAT, AUC, and we have also all the RCC implementing this program. What is the mandate of the implementing partners is to bridge the capacity gap between the global expertise and the regional expertise, bringing some expertise from the global community to enforce, to strengthen capacity in the region. As we said, that this program is meant to build the capacity of decision makers at all levels. I would like to show you how are we building the technical expertise and the policy expertise. The first area of building capacity is what we call user interface, the stakeholder interaction, and the user interface platform, where I said already that putting together users and the producer together for them to co-design and improve the product. We have designed this feedback mechanism where the producer, the climate services, after observing, processing, downscaling, and the tailored product, they send that product to the users. Users now need to apply that information in their sectors. They need to verify the usefulness, and they need also to evaluate the impact of those products in the socio-economic sectors. Where they will find some weakness, they will send back to the producers the feedback where the product did not work well for the producer to improve it. That's what we call the feedback mechanism, which is based on co-design, co-production system. The second area of building capacity of technical decision makers is on providing infrastructure, as I said. In this ecosystem of the climate services information system, we have the first component of equipment on observation, where we can observe on ground with the station, or we can observe the climate through satellite. So we can receive data from the space or on the ground. After receiving those data, we need to transfer those data from the station to the main center, where the analysis, the computing will take place. The third component will come now for communicating those products with generated information and services. And the last component is the users. So all these ecosystems are based on infrastructure, where the program is facilitating for RCC to have the updated technology for them to generate the competitive product with the advanced center in the world. Sometimes people are really complex to use our own product by saying you don't have equipment. But we are assuring you that centers are well equipped to generate the same quality of product and the services as worldwide. In that case, we need to capacitate those technical decision makers. The third area, as I said, for data access, our intention is to link all the RCCs to the global producing centers. Those are the advanced centers, where we learn from their technology, for their experience, where they share also data and model or tools for enforcing and capacitating our RCC. So it means each RCC in Africa, Caribbean, and the Pacific must be linked to the Global Advanced Climate Center, so that you don't go to look for data there or services, rely on your own RCC. And also the second level will come where each RCC in the OACPS region should be interlinked for the South-South cooperation, because there are many capacities in our region where we can support each other in our own region. The fourth result area is capacity building. In capacity building, we have developed a strategy which is mainly encompassed by two pillars: the strategic objective and the strategic mechanism. From the mechanism, we are trying to see how can we implement or can we build the capacity in Africa, Caribbean, and the Pacific. One of the key points I would like to emphasize here is training must be categorized according to the competency scale. WMO have set up the competency scale where we have the beginner or the startup, we have the practitioner, we have the expert, and we have the trainer. So when you are receiving a training, you must indicate exactly that the training is for those new degree holder coming from the university, or are you training people already practicing in the ground, or are you making to build expertise in the region, or you are training the trainer? That is really the more critical. We don't need anymore the general subject in the training or capacity building, that sometimes it doesn't bring any outcome after the training. For the training itself, there are three more objectives we are trying really to reach. The first one, to provide innovative and collaborative solution. Collaborative solution because what are we trying to solve here? Maybe it was already resolved somewhere else. Instead of inventing the wheel, we can just use the strategy, the methodology, by improving those kind of technology. The second result, objective of training, is to contribute strengthening the production, the availability, developing application of science base, where now we are having the modeling on the downscaling techniques or applying climate information to different sectors. And the last one in capacity building or training objective is to build capacity of decision makers for them to know how to use and how to assess. All those will end up as a deliverable the early warning system to be operational at our region. The fifth one is capacity building policy, or for policy decision makers. We are not only building capacity of the expert or the technical decision makers, but also the policy makers. And for the policy makers, we are relying on the research output, where those results are sent to the regional climate center as the operational centers to apply those outcomes from the research. After the research have given us methodology to be used at the RCC, we need to set up that user interface platform so that we try to see the product and how to evaluate the benefit and to improve it. After improving the product and evaluating the outcome, then we can now try to see how to develop policy through those services we've developed and improved. The second branch of the capacity building of the policy is now to set up the decision support system that will come now through RCC to present you which kind of decision support tool they are using to help decision maker to take a decision to advise. So this is one of also the good input or output of the program, building decision support tools. And you will hear from the coming presentation from the RCC how they are transforming data to information up to services. And the end, we are saying climate services and related application, CLIMSA, it's really more relevant to advance the uptake and application of climate services, to improve the citizen support system for policy development, to facilitate the certification of RCC as a WMO RCC. After you have followed all the requirements, WMO can qualify your center as a WMO RCC, and then at the end, this will contribute to the sustainable development and a climate resilience society. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Faka, for the insightful presentation. I think not everybody is actually well informed about CLIMSA, which means climate services and related applications. So it was good for us to give enough time for everybody to digest what is going on in the continent when it comes to climate and meteorology. As you have seen, a lot of activities are actually being carried out under the program. And CLIMSA is one of those unique programs that actually embrace all the entire value chain of climate services, including capacity building of the member states and the Indian Ocean Commission, member state as well, to be able to produce timely climate information. So on that one, I want to actually congratulate all the RCCs for the great job they are doing, and call back again Dr. Hussein, sorry for calling you earlier, to come and give his presentation. I wish to also thank all the participants online who are following us, that there will be also a slot for them if they have questions to ask, to provide a question for answers. Thank you.
Good afternoon again. My name is Hussein. I am a climate modeling expert at ICPAC. I will be presenting the advances in climate information for agriculture sector in the IGAD region. Before I start, the tailor-made and advances products in the IGAD region, I just want to give a brief background about the IGAD region and what happened in the last 10 and 15 years. So the region is one of the most vulnerable regions to climate variability and change, and the region experienced a number of extreme events in the last 2 decades. If you look at this diagram, starting from 2009, the region experienced a very severe drought, which affected millions of people, and it was one of the strongest in the region. And then after that, in 2015, it was one of the strongest El Nino year, and again, which affects the rainfall in our region and led again food insecurity. Again, in 2018 and 19, our region experienced heavy rainfall associated with flooding, and that is because of the tropical cyclones that occurred in the nearby ocean over the Indian Ocean and as well as over the Arabian Sea. And again, in OND 2019, towards the end of the year, then it was one of the strongest Indian Ocean dipole, and which led again it was one of the strongest Indian Ocean dipole, which led to, again, heavy rainfall and flooding in the region. And that one again led to the rising of sea levels in the Rift Valley areas. And because of this heavy rainfall in 2018 and 19, again, the region experienced one of the worst desert locust invasion, which again threatened the food security in our region. Then again, for the last 2 years, from 2020 up to 2022, the region experienced one of the longest drought because of the persistent La Nina conditions in the Pacific Ocean, which affects again millions of people. Recently, in 2023, the region experienced heavy rainfall associated flooding during the March to May rainfall, and recently in October and November, Again, the region experienced heavy rainfall associated with flooding that was linked with the El Nino Southern Oscillation that happens over the Pacific, and as well as the Indian Ocean dipole that happens over the Indian Ocean region. So at ICPAC, we provide climate services for the region in support of sustainable development. And our service areas include climate monitoring and forecasting, co-production and dissemination of climate information, and as well as sectoral application, including the disaster risk management, agriculture, and water resource. One of the advancements that we made at ICPAC is this development of this objective seasonal forecast that is traceable, reproducible, and verifiable. This forecast developed the first time in our region in 2019, and since then we have been producing the forecasts objectively. So this was a paradigm shift after 20 years of this consensus objective seasonal forecasting approach. This objective seasonal forecasting, it opens up to develop new products, which I will be sharing you in the next few slides. And the forecast it is verifiable, and it helps to improve our forecast. And one of the tailored products that we produce for agriculture and food security sector is this probability of exceedance or probability of user-defined thresholds. The users want to know the probabilities exceeding a certain thresholds. What is the probability of exceeding 200 millimeter, and what is the probability of exceeding 200, 300, and 400 and 500 millimeter of seasonal rainfall? So this is one of the products that we started developing since the development of this objective seasonal forecast. The other important product that we develop for this agriculture and food security sector is the start of the rainfall season. When are we expecting the rainfall to start? Are we expecting a delayed onset or an early onset? And what is the probability of that early onset and delayed onset? So this is again one of the key products that is very critical for decision-making for agriculture sector. It helps them for planning, which kind of crops they want to plant, and the timing, and as well as also the associated risks maybe. Are we expecting maybe invasion of insects because of this, the delayed onset or early onset? And the other key product is the dry spells within the season. So the seasonal outlook is not enough to make proper decision making. We might have an onset starting early, but we might have a longer dry spell. So are we expecting a longer dry spell for this, the target season? Are we expecting shorter dry spells? And once we identify also those maximum dry spells, and when is that maximum dry spell going to occur? So this is again one of the key products that is very relevant for agriculture and food security sector. And the other important product is the subseasonal forecast. Seasonal forecasts help us to make strategic decisions, but subseasonal forecasts help the users to make tactical decisions. Sometimes the forecast that we issued, it might not be accurate. So if you give, again, subseasonal forecasts within the season, it helps to make, it helps the users to make tactical decisions. So we produce this one every week for a month. What is the outlook for the first week, second week, third week, and the fourth week within the month? As Dr. Faka mentioned also, one of the delivery of this CLIMSA project is the development of this decision support tools. I mean, in addition to those services, we have also developed decision support tools in collaboration with our partners, the European Joint Center. This is the East Africa Agricultural Watch, help us to monitor the cropland and the rangeland conditions in our region. So it gives the areas that are that are affected by this, the deficit of rainfall or soil moisture for the last 1 month or the last season. So it gives information, updated information every 10 days. So this tool is freely accessible to our users, and our users can generate localized and detailed information at local or sub-national levels. The other tools that we developed in ICPAC is this East Africa Hazard Watch. This is a multi-sectoral risk analysis and product visualization tool for the region. So it is a one-stop shopping for the different climate products that we produce in ICPAC. So all the sub-seasonal and seasonal products that we produce in ICPAC have been integrated to the East Africa Hazard Watch, and users have access to these different climate products. So they can also generate products at national, subnational, or local levels and get detailed information. So the other platform that we used to share the information to our users is the Greater Horn of Africa Climate Outlook Forum, which is one of the forums that brings together the providers and the users at regional level. And we have also the National Climate Outlook Forum, so we support the member states to organize this National Climate Outlook Forums. And at community level also, we have this participatory scenario analysis, and as well as this participatory integrated climate service for agriculture. So we have these two platforms that also we co-produce climate products at community levels. So this is all I have for today. If you have any questions, I'm happy to respond. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Hussein, for presenting the climate services and their use in decision-making over Eastern Africa. Again, I recall that one of the big objectives of CLIMSA is to make sure that by the end of this project, all the RCCs are certified by WMO, because there are some mandatory functions that they have to fulfill to become RCCs. ICPAC is one of them already, and supporting also the remaining to also be certified by WMO in this process. So the next regional center which will be presenting would be Agrimet, represented by Dr. Seydou.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Jasso. My PowerPoint. Okay, while the techniques are setting up, so the Agrimet Regional Center is the climate center for West Africa and the Sahel region. And it was created in 1973 at the mouth of the draft of the Sahel region as known in 1972-1973. So in order to tackle the issues around food security and also natural resource management. So the SILS, Permanent Interstate Committee for Drought Control in the Sahel, has two specialized institutes. The first one is the Institute Sahel, dealing with agricultural research and the socioeconomic studies. And the second one is Agrimet Regional Center, dealing with information production, climate information production, and also training. We have also a training school, training in agricultural meteorology, hydrology, and we have even master programs in climate change and sustainable development, and so on. So in the framework of CLIMSA project, Agrimet is one of the RCCs that have benefited from the CLIMSA project funded by the EU. And okay, so this is my presentation. I'm going to show you. Here is the outline. First, a brief introduction. I think Dr. Faka already went through the objective of the project, so I will not spend much time on it. And then I will focus on climate services provided to rural communities in Burkina Faso, and also share with you some feedbacks from the farmers we are monitoring. So these are the overall objectives of the CLIMSA project, so I will not spend time on it. So in our region, the West Africa CLIMSA program covers 17 countries made of ECOWAS, 15 ECOWAS member countries, and also Mauritania and Chad in West Africa. So, and in the implementation of a project, we selected Burkina Faso as the pilot country. So the grant signed in December 2019 is 8 million euros. And it was initially for 4 years, but we have asked for an additional year for extension. So I will just start with the seasonal forecast. In terms of climate services we provide to users, the seasonal forecast we made at the regional level jointly with ACMAD and National Meteorological and Hydrological Services in West Africa. Here is a map of seasonal forecast done during the precise ARCOF in 2023 in April. So this shows a forecast map of the onset date of rainy season for the region. But after this exercise, every country, every national Met Service goes back and also downscales this information at national level. And here is what the Burkina Faso Met Agency did after the precise workshop. So the map on the left is the overall forecast for this year. So it is mainly an average to late onset date of rainy season. But if you go to farmers, how do you explain this situation to farmers? So they generated two maps showing a general map of average onset of rainy season and also a map of late rainy season, late onset date of rainy season. So if you tell a user that the season will be average to late average, so you have an idea on which date actually he's dealing with, depending on where he is located. After this national workshop, we also go down to community level, and we selected 3 rural communities in Burkina Faso, one in the northern Sahelian zone, one in the center, and another one in the southern Sudanian zone, where we organize discussions with local farmers, some selected farmers, and also agricultural extension agents to discuss about the forecast results and to tell them. So during those discussions, not only we present, but we also organize group discussions among them so that everybody can come up with some suggestions about how to make use of these forecasts. For example, this is again another way of downscaling the forecasted information. On the map, we showed some probabilistic maps, but here you take, for example, a given example. If you say, for example, we forecast a cumulative rainfall for the season, we have some thresholds, 75 and 25% level, where you can see that between those two thresholds, you have average situation or normal situation, and the red line indicates that if rainfall is less than that line, so it is a below average situation. And the green line, it is above average. So if you take a given location, you know exactly where, in terms of millimeters, how much one can expect, at least approximately, for the coming season. Here are the three rural communities we selected in Burkina Faso, in the north, in the center, and the south. And since the start of the project, we have signed an MOU with the Burkina Faso National Met Agency. Here, the Director General of that agency is present in the room, as well as our focal point, Mr. Baki also, who are here today. And so we organize local workshops, not only to communicate the forecast information, but also during the season, we have also field trips to go and discuss with the farmers on the issues about how to use those forecasts. And we also, in order for them to make better use of the information we are giving to them, we provided the farmers with rain gauges. So they have rain gauges on their farm, or at least in their village, and they measure what rainfall quantities. We also give them some smartphones. Okay, those smartphones, they can not only collect their data and send to National Met Office, but they receive back also through those smartphones information and advices about what to do, based on the collected information. And of course, we have also some field visits during the rainy season to discuss with farmers about how to use the information. Here are some sample bulletins provided every day almost to rural communities. And there were also some MOUs with rural radio stations. So once the meteorological agency produces these forecasts, they send them not only through bulletins, but also through WhatsApp messages to the rural radios and also agricultural extension officers, so for them to communicate to farmers. In those bulletins, you have not only the observed situation from the past 24 hours, but you have also the forecast for upcoming day, and also some advices based on the ongoing situation. So we have been implementing this activity for 3 years now, and we have got some feedbacks from the farmers, and most of the time, what they say is that the information we are providing to them help them plan ahead of during the season. For example, if we provide them with seasonal forecasts, they can choose what type of crops or what type of area in the landscape they should go for to plant which type of crops. And also, finally, they took the habit of not doing anything now without getting the information from the Met Agency. So they always wait for meteorological information before they undertake any kind of activity, like sowing, fertilizer use, or pesticide use. Even hiring field workers, they also take into account weather forecast before doing that. So, and they also said in their villages now, they have frequent discussion groups around weather forecasts and what to do about the forecast during different social gatherings. So these are some farmers who gave us some interviews, but unfortunately I will not run those videos. They just gave some testimony about how they use a climate forecast in their activities. With that, I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Seidu, for keeping not only on time, but also providing us with how you work with the pilot countries. So what I haven't said at the beginning of this meeting is that CLIMSA is reaching out to the last mile with climate products through the RCCs and through the National Med Services. And Agreement has just given you an example of how the products tailored through CLIMSA reach the last mile and the farmers at the local community, and also how it creates participatory actions between beneficiaries and climate service providers. And we hope that at the end of this project, the result, the lessons learned from this project can be scaled up to the rest of the countries in each region. That is the objective of CLIMSA. So on that note, we will move from agriculture to go into the disaster reduction sector. And the presentation will be given by Ahmad, who is a certified regional climate center for the continent. And his DG, Dr. Andre, will be giving the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. So this presentation will specifically look at the early warning value chain and take 3 events that occurred this year in Africa: Cyclone Freddy in the Southwest Indian Ocean, the recent Somali floods, and a third event, which was the storm in the Mediterranean that hit Libya. And we'll have to see ourselves, where are we in implementing the early warning value chain, and see the challenges ahead that we should address within CLIMSA on one hand, CLIMSA DRR, and then with other partner programs like the Hydromet program and other disaster risk reduction programs that may come after CLIMSA. Okay, so this is the value chain. Please note that you have observations, you have the forecast, the weather forecast. Those are things we do quite well. Then you have hazard forecast. Here you have to locate the hazard where it is expected to happen. We are doing it quite well at the continental and regional level, but we are today unable to locate the hazard in part of a city, and that's what often happens. Floods may not happen for a whole city. It can happen in part of the city, and we are yet to actually reach that level of detail. Then you have the impact, and this is where most of the challenge appears on. In the case of Libya that I will show, the Libyan Med Center issued a warning 3 days ahead, but this warning doesn't tell you that 1 or 2 dams will collapse, that hundreds or thousands of people would be affected in a given part of the city. So we have a big challenge there. Then you have the warning and the decisions or actions that are taken based on the warning. There is even a last part, which is the value, the socioeconomic value of the implementation of the decision or the anticipatory action information. So this is what the American Med Society in 2021 came out with, actually to address the impact forecast aspect of the challenge. So if you are to develop information for the disaster risk reduction sector, it should tell what climate phenomena you have or what weather phenomena you have at hand, then the areas this will impact, then the consequences that this may have, and then the response options that can be used to update our anticipatory action plans. So this is 2021, and we have to implement activities to reach that level at some point in the upcoming years. So one of the important steps in the process is to move from just forecasting precipitation or temperature to forecasting what we call actionable indicator. So in this case, this is rainfall in Rwanda for many years, and then an indicator called standard precipitation index, which can be useful to identify dry years among these years. So as you saw in the seasonal forecast, I think ICPAC is actually working towards forecasting the standard precipitation index in addition to forecasting just precipitation. So this is one first step in the process of moving towards impact forecast. So this second part is related to the Somali floods. As you can see, we have satellite products that we blend with available station observations to actually monitor the floods. And you can see over the Somali area for this case, two satellite products locating there in red, the areas hit by heavy rain that led to Somali floods. Down here are the vigilance products developed by ACMAD 3, 4, 5 days ahead of the event, indicating that someone may happen there along this Ethiopia, Kenya, Somali border. And as you can see at the continental level, that's the best you can do. But it doesn't tell you exactly where the floods will occur, which city, specifically in Somalia, which part of that city. And this is one of the challenges that we have in this process. So we end up working with UNHCR and WMO to actually support, first map the areas with refugees and displaced people in Africa, and every week providing outlook on the areas expected to have heavy precipitation. And as you can see, this area over Somalia was well captured. And at the continental level, the UNHCR could use this to anticipate preparation and preposition supplies. So this is the assessment we did after the storm in Libya. So the warning was issued 72 hours ahead. Even state of emergency was declared in part of the eastern region. But on one hand, the warning didn't show the combined hazard, because here you have strong winds and heavy rain. That was not clear in the warning, that you will have to handle compounding hazards. Secondly, it led to interruptions in communication and fall of electricity towers in the city. These are specific impacts that were not anticipated in the warning. And here you can see one clear example where we are in implementing our early warning value cycle. This is a second example, but the message is actually the same. And so this is the product we generated for UNHCR for Libya, but they were much more interested by displaced people in the sub-Saharan Africa. So the information was there, but also at our level, it is just hazard location and location of hazard in a big part of the coastal Libya, not the cities that were actually hit. Then this is the case of Freddy. You know, Freddy is today considered as the longest lasting cyclone in the records. And in this case, 4 days ahead, we have the outlook in the vigilance product, but it is just locating the hazard, no information on exactly where we can have floods, because this required a close partnership with the hydrology community, and then the impacts, the potential impacts. So we are trying now to come out with some statements on the potential impact, but when you read it is generic, it is not yet specific. So we need to integrate the regional, the national, and the local approaches in the process to end up with something that really talk to the local level. Okay. Yeah. So as you know, we have satellite data, and as he showed, we are in CLIMSA investing in upgrading our satellite data reception systems for the 3rd generation Meteosat systems. But this is the status today of how the satellite were able to locate the rainfall associated with the cyclone in Libya. As you can see, there is significant underestimation. In Libya, there was one station which recorded 400 millimeters of rainfall in a day. But yet our satellite products today didn't even capture 100. So this raised the idea of making sure that in our programs, we invest in observing systems, in situ observing systems, if we are to address early warning at the city scale. It should not be only the station at the airport. It should be many stations within a city where we can concentrate in developing and demonstrating early warning systems. So this is a second product that we developed for the start of the agricultural season, not the start of the rain. Because ultimately what the farmer needs is the start of the agricultural season. Where can I start actually preparing land? So we end up through literature review to a definition in the tropical regions of Australia that we adapted for all Africa. And with this, every week, you can have information on how the agricultural season unfolded across different locations. It is not yet a forecast per se, but it is better in the sense that with the previous definitions we have been using, it is 3 weeks after the season start that you know that effectively it started late. With this, we are able, a few days after the last rain that indicate the start of the agricultural season, to convey the information where it should be. So these are just examples to illustrate how this is done. Now with the UN OSHA, we also move forward in the so-called impact forecast. So the UN OSHA need is what percentage of the population in different districts in the countries in Africa can be affected by heavy rain and floods. So we work with them for about 2 years and move from the seasonal forecast you have there to an impact forecast, which is the rate of population expected to be affected by floods. And now this is the outlook, what we call a prototype impact outlook at seasonal time scale for Africa for the upcoming months until March. And as you can see, we have located the areas expected to have significant rainfall, eventually floods. The drought, which is ongoing for North Africa, expected to persist, and also over Southern Africa. So with this map of Africa, the areas with significant rainfall deficits are North Africa and this part of Southern Africa. And this information is then conveyed to UN OSHA for further assessment leading to impact outlook. And all the information on the measures are here again generic. We need to go in those locations where the information is given and discuss at the local level to better tailor these measures. So there is another sector of interest, which is health sector. And one of the major hazards there is high temperatures and heat waves. So this is a recently developed product at ACMAT, a prototype, showing you on the number of very hot days in Africa since the late 70s until this year. So 2016 had about 12 very hot years for Africa, and this current year is the second. So 2023 is the second year in the record in Africa where we have the highest number of very warm days. And one of the significant impact are felt over North Africa. So in the AMEWAS program, we are promoting to include high temperatures and heat waves as a major hazard on which we have to develop early warning systems, specifically for North Africa. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Andre. I was a bit worried about the time, but you kept it on time. All the three presenters have actually kept their presentation within the 15 minutes. We will make a quick break and maybe give the floor to the audience if there are some questions that you want to ask or something you want to understand better, because we are going to move into a next session which is totally different from this one. We have one hand, the DG of the Med Service of Burkina, Mr. Zungrana. You have the floor. Is there any mic?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you, everybody. I would like to be thankful for this session about CLIMSA program. And as the DG of ANAM, the country pilot of CLIMSA in West Africa, I want to recognize what is done for the National Meteorological Service by the regional centers, and mostly for Burkina Faso. And I really want to be thankful to Agrimet and to ACMAT for the add value. It is said that CLIMSA want to strengthen the climate service chain value, and it is true. We are stakeholders in the chain value. We have regional centers, we have national meteorological centers, and each of us should do his job in order to provide accurate services for the end users. I have a question. How can we do together to improve the disponibility of data? Because I see access to data, and it's not only a problem of access, it's an issue of making data. Regional centers have expertise, they have capacity that we don't have, and we need that. And we have data. in the National Meteorological Service, and they need our data. And also, we want to be visible, the National Meteorological Services. So, in this chain value, we have to speak to each other and to share the roles. Who should provide which services to the end users? Because if the National Meteorological Service are not visible, we can't be financed by the government, we can't be financed by anyone, and we should disappear. And when you will lost one important stakeholder in the chain. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gigi. I think we are running out of time. I know this can suscitate a lot of questions, but we can continue the debate later. We are going to shift on to the next presentation. It will be a bit longer, but I want to recall the time constraint, Doc, so that you keep it really shape in time and allow us to get maybe 5 minutes of wrap up after your presentation. If you can keep it within the 20 minutes for us to get time to conclude. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Panagiotis Kosmopoulos. I am an associate researcher at the National Observatory of Athens in Greece. And at the same time, I'm a renewable energy expert in the framework of the CLIMSA project. Let me first invite you to have in your mobile phones QR code readers, because I have a lot of QR codes in the presentation in order to follow relevant publications, applications, and decision support tools in order to be harmonized with the publication and follow the content. Okay, first of all, let's see why there is a reason why we need climate services for renewable energy. So this need for climate services for renewable energy is directly related with the need for optimal energy planning as a result of the nowadays increase of the renewable energy sources participation share in the total energy production and consumption mix, which until now is close to 22%, and the target for the next decade is to reach almost 30% globally, in conjunction with the overall influence of the climatic conditions from the rational use of the produced energy. Indicatively, over the past 5 years, an estimated 15 gigatons equivalent of CO2 emissions was avoided with the use of renewables, a number that is expected to increase to almost 70 gigatons for the next 30 years. So this specific need for optimal energy planning requires an efficient energy management, which has to operate more or less as an integral part of the overall state administration. Also, the main target for this year's COP28 is to triple renewables and double energy efficiency by the end of 2030 if we want to keep with the 1.5 degrees Celsius climate target within reach. So it is important to understand what it is renewable energy planning and management in order to be able to handle this unlimited source of energy. So the ability to monitor, forecast, and manage renewable energy is really useful, mainly for decision-making, for the energy producers that want to have forecasts about the energy production levels for the next hours or for the next days. Also for decision-makers and for energy handling entities in terms of transmission and distribution system operators in order to better plan and manage the energy integration into the electricity grids. And all this information has direct social economic benefits and values. So let's start. What is solar energy planning? A case study in order to understand better this was performed for the region of Egypt, where in collaboration with the Ministry of Electricity and Renewable Energy, we developed the official solar atlas of the region in order to identify the optimum locations in order to establish new solar projects. And one of these locations was in Benban, where before some years, one of the biggest solar projects worldwide was completed. And in order to have a picture of this solar project, it covers an area of 6 by 6 kilometers and produces annually energy of the order of 3.8 terawatt hours, covering the needs of many hundreds, thousands of households. So this information is important in order mostly to identify the atmospheric parameters effects on the energy production levels. In Egypt, we do not have a lot of clouds, so we focused on dust transport from the Sahara region. And this effect is close to 10 to 15%, showing, for example, this 10 megawatt plot, where the effect of aerosols, it is close to $70,000 US dollars. And to have a picture about the energy revenue from such a system is close to $1.1 million. So in regions without clouds, more or less, aerosols is the main parameter that affects solar energy production, while in regions like, for example, India, we have a much more effect from clouds relevant to monsoon, etc. And this effect is able to go up to 25%, so more than double as compared to aerosols. And here is the other aspect, which has to do with the energy management. What it is energy management? Once we have completed, we have installed the solar energy plants, then we need to manage them, to manage the production in order to better incorporate the energy into the electricity grids and in order to apply into the energy market. Because the new energy target model has to do with the energy market liberalization and the creation of a single competitive market. So if the energy suppliers can have accurate information about energy production levels, this provides them with a comprehensive advantage with clear economic benefits for their intraday market operations. And here is an example why we need energy management. So we used 3 days in Egypt, 17th to 19th of March, with the central day be a dusty day with huge dust plume from Sahara Desert. So under normal conditions, the energy production, the daily revenue from the same 10 megawatts system is close to 3,000 euros, while during the day with the dust event, the daily revenue drops to $2,000, meaning almost 30% reduction of energy production. So this highlights the need to have such climate services for renewable energy for both planning and management of energy production levels. Now, this is the main slide of this presentation, since we are officially introducing a novel climate service for the sub-Saharan region. This climate service uses as inputs satellite data from EUMETSAT in order to continuously monitor cloud microphysics. For the aerosol effect, we exploit the Copernicus atmosphere monitoring service. The processing chain uses radiative transfer model simulations in order to convert the atmospheric parameters into spectral solar radiation levels, while it is handled by high-performance computing. And for the forecasting horizon, we used state-of-the-art artificial intelligence techniques based on computer vision. So we developed the first of its kind multi-layer cloud motion vector, which actually classifies the clouds into distinct layers in order to perform a cloud motion vector into any independent layer of clouds. This technology improves significantly the accuracy of forecasting of clouds, and this can be translated also into improved accuracy of solar energy production levels. In the next presentation, you will see also a hands-on in this application, and also you can scan this QR code in order to see the technical background, which was recently published in the Applied Energy Journal of Elsevier. One important aspect is also that this technology is easy to be replicated. Here you can see some previous versions of this system which was applied in the European and North Africa region, and recently also to the Indian domain by exploiting their local geostationary satellite, which is the INSAT 3D. And one more important aspect is that it can be applied anywhere. So this first application for the Sub-Saharan Africa, it is, let's say, a first demonstration of this technology. So we can replicate and reproduce and replicate for other regions like Caribbean by using the GOES, the American satellite, the geostationary satellite, or for the Pacific states, we can exploit the Himawari geostationary satellite. So it is even possible to provide someday in the near future also a global representation of the solar energy production potential. Here's just an example from the effect that can have in India into climate change concerning the biomass burning effect on solar energy production levels. So the aerosols are able, this aerosol type is able to decrease the solar energy production in the country level from 8 to 12%, while the monsoon, the cloud effect, is able to reach an attenuation from 20 to 25%. And here is a replicate for the urban environment, and why we are caring also for the urban environment. The answer is simple, since more than half of the global population is living in cities. So the additional aspect in this processing chain has to do additionally to the atmospheric parameters to quantify the urban environment effects in terms of shadows. For example, if you have a rooftop photovoltaic, maybe you have surrounding buildings taller than yours, so the shadow is from other buildings or other solar blocking elements have a big effect also into such energy production, and it is quantified in detail here. Here you can see an example from the city of Athens in Greece. It was as a pilot city in order to demonstrate this technology, which is again easily replicable to any city worldwide. In order to represent the 3 dimensions of the city, because this is a critical parameter, we can use digital surface model data as to have an accurate and robust 3-dimensional representation of the city in order to be able to simulate all the ray tracing technologies as to capture the energy at rooftop or facades level. Here you can scan in order to see this example. You can click into every pixel of the city of Athens in order to see the current energy production. And here is a vector-based decision support application where it can act like a solar cadastre, urban solar cadastre. So you can click at any specific building footprint and see the exact area of each building, the maximum possible area that can be covered by photovoltaics, because someone maybe has a pitched roof or any other building elements in their roof. So here's an example that for a specific building, the OpenStreetMap area is close to 355 square meters, but the exploitable and compatible area in order to install, in order to host a new rooftop photovoltaic is close to 100 square meters, almost 1/3. And it is able to host a solar plant close to 4.9 kilowatts, producing in an annual basis 8.7 megawatt hours. And you can see also the monthly energy production by following two scenarios. The first scenario is by following the installation of the photovoltaic to follow the rooftop morphology. And the other scenario is to follow the optimum tilt in order to produce as much as possible of energy and cover the majority of the energy needs. And here is one of the biggest rooftop photovoltaics in European Union, which is the Stavros Niarchos Foundation, again in Athens. And all this information can be translated into an holistic decision support application. Here you can see that we divided the whole Athens metropolitan area in all municipalities. So for each municipality, you can see the sum of the potential energy produced by rooftop photovoltaics and how it can be translated into greenhouse gases emission savings. So it is important to see that, for example, the annual production potential of the city is close to 4.3 terawatt hours. It can be covered by the energy consumption by 48, close to 50% if we exploit the maximum energy installation scenario of rooftop photovoltaics. And this can be translated into a 10-year emission reduction potential of 18 megatons or even 2.4 billion euros, which can fund the installation of new solar projects at rooftop level to almost 100,000 rooftops. Also, since the output of this technology is a spectral solar radiation, it can not only produce useful information concerning solar energy, but if we are based on specific parts of the solar spectrum, we can produce and exploit information about health and agriculture-related products. For health, we can produce operationally and in real time the ultraviolet index. You can follow this QR code in order to see the technical background and the validation against ground-based measurements across Europe and North Africa, in order to act as early warning system, in order to protect citizens against skin cancer or eye cataract, etc. While if we focus on the different spectral region, in the visible solar part, we can have useful information concerning precision agriculture in terms of production of a product called photosynthetically active radiation. So from the same processing chain, we are able to provide useful information for energy, for health, and for agriculture. And all that have to do with the solar part. We have also the wind part. The most common technology is the wind turbines. But last years, in collaboration with Indian universities and in Denmark and Netherlands, we developed a totally novel technology that is able to produce wind energy by using kites. The main force that we exploit in order to convert the wind energy into electricity is the tether force. This technology is equally exploitable like wind turbines. To have an idea, a kite of almost 70 square meters is able to produce similar energy like a 1 megawatt wind turbine in 1/5 of the cost of the installation. So it is a really new technology that was applied before 2 years in Caribbean in collaboration with the company Kite Power. So next year it will be applied also in some European countries, in India, and we hope to have the opportunity to test it also in the Sub-Saharan Africa region or even to the Pacific states. As a brief conclusion from this first part of the presentation, we can say that the access to high-resolution solar energy planning, management, and enable and facilitate the grid stability by also promoting the penetration of renewables into the society, While we can highlight the use of Earth observation into such decision-making process. So we can just move to the second presentation, which has to do with capacity building and training material. I don't know if you have any questions on this part. Yes. Just 5 minutes in order to show just a hands-on on the. Okay. Okay, and now really fast, I will show you. Can you? Okay. About the e-learning platform that was released these days. You can scan this QR code in order to register if you have not already in the knowledge platform of CLIMSA. You can find inside informative videos about all the previous technologies presented. You can find e-learning material in order to see how it works, how we can benefit from such applications, and also book-related material for all specific parts that will be useful for both plain citizens and also for the experts from the RCCs in order to be able to understand how it works and be able to replicate and apply to use them in practice. With this QR code, you can just download the full book, while for each one of these chapters, you can find in the knowledge platform a dedicated presentation in order to be easily understandable. Also, in the ArcGIS, you will find an additional platform that is able to provide information about the basic needs in terms of access to electricity, about clean cooking, education, social policies, as to be able to understand how we can benefit by having renewables into our everyday activities. For example, we can have satellite internet, so remote education, or communication with the rest of the world, etc. Here are the main technologies of the training in order to identify why we have different forecasting horizons and what each forecasting horizon is able to provide to the energy producers, to the transmission distribution system operators, or to plain citizens by using sky cameras if you want to go up to 1 hour ahead to see clouds from below, to go up to 6 hours ahead if we can see clouds from above from geostationary satellites, or to use deterministic forecasting by numerical weather prediction modeling. The tools and the useful information about the modeling part. And here it is the most, we can play with this slide. You can scan this QR code in order to have direct access to the climate service for solar energy in the sub-Saharan Africa. You can click in every single pixel of the sub-Saharan Africa region. So if you click into a clear sky region, you can have a complete curve of solar energy during the day. If you click just on a cloud, you can see the reduction from clouds to solar energy production levels. And the most important and interesting part is if you can click just before a cloud in order to see the curve of solar energy, and then after some hours to see the reduction of solar energy due to cloud presence. You will be able also to find this application with all the technical background into the knowledge platform of CLIMSA. So I'm happy to discuss any question concerning this one. And that's all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Doctor, for your presentation. It's really very tight, so we try to accommodate everybody. So I will just call, without transition, Dr. Jolie to conclude this session because we don't have any more time for questions. And thank you to all those who are online as well for listening. Unfortunately, we will not be able to take their questions, but we are happy to have them with us. Doctor, please.
Yeah, thank you so much to all the regional climate centers and our colleague from Athens on this presentation. We are way beyond our time. Our colleagues are waiting to enter, so there's nothing more that I can say, but just to thank you for your participation. And also to mention that there will be another session where we'll be dealing at issues of capacity building, including training and how they are benefiting member states in Africa through the CLIMSA project. So there we'll have further discussions to look at. So thank you so much for your participation. See you next time.